You out there without care. I was out of tune, but it wasn't because I didn't know. No, I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's my only advice. Who do you, who do you, who do you think you are? Oh, bless your soul. You think you're in control. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me. My heroes had the heart, lose their lives out on the land. And all I remember is thinking I want to be like them. Oh, yeah. Ever since I was little, it looked like fun. And it's not coincidence I've come. And I can die when I'm done. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you're crazy.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. It's a beautiful Monday morning. And I must tell you that we have lots to talk about. And I think, these are things that are very important to discuss, especially as it pertains, as it relates to, national issues that Zambian citizens really should take a keen interest in. And there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. Guys, I'm over here at Simoson Building in my little podcast office. And right before I get into it, many of you ask me the title of that song. And I always remember to try to look for it only after I go live. What I really should do is to find out exactly that the rendition of that song. Of course, as you know, CeeLo Green is the originator of that song. CeeLo Green. In Zambia, we don't say CeeLo, we say Gelo. Like Gelo Mwana Jingwala. Did you know that the word Gelo means ghost or apparition? In Tonga, Gelo. But in America, they don't say Gelo, they say CeeLo. CeeLo Green is the one that sang and wrote that song originally. The rendition that I play here on this podcast, I forget who does it, and I'm going to have to suss it out. I'll find out for you. The next time I go live, how about this? I will throw up the name of the artist the next time I go live. I give you my word that I'll do that the next time. A few shout outs to you, precious people, you that take the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. I'm going to need about 10 to 13 minutes of your time. We might go into 15 minutes, but I seriously doubt it. I try as best as I can to keep these broadcasts to a minimum. It amazes me how some of you sit and listen to people talk for 2 hours. 2 hours. Umuntu alelanda fye. Aletfye alanda. Nemamule kutika for 2 hours. Pano pa SM ni 15, 20 minutes, maximum 30. So 15 minutes max, and let's get into it. Loud and clear, Balance. This is one of our regulars. Balance, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much. Who is that? Is that Say My Name? Say my name, say my name, say my name. Who's that? Music. All righty, one more, and then we can start talking. You are the only man in Zambia who silence challenged Seer 1. I tell you what, more people should do that. Speaking of that joker, Andrew Ejimadu, before we get into my little dissertation this morning, I want to thank the Zambian people for not giving Andrew Ejimadu, aka Seer Nothing, the juice that he used to have a few years ago. And I used to warn Zambians, don't allow these mystics, these spiritualists, to lead the narrative in your country. Andrew Ejimadu is a product of the Nigerian community. Nigeria has its own problems. Nigeria has its own challenges. Nigeria has its own demons and dragons to deal with. How then does Andrew, aka Seer Nothing, decide to make his life goal to deal with the Zambian geopolitical situation here on our territory? The joker. And I blame you, Zambians, for giving him the juice. I blame you for giving him the platform. But today I want to thank you that he doesn't have the juice that he used to have, because he was on video the other day. Nobody heard a squeak about it. I mean, there he was railing against Miles, talking about how Miles is ungrateful, and yet Andrew himself feels that he can have the liberty to disdain, to discredit, to lie about anybody he chooses. Andrew Ejimadu, aka Seer 1, can decide to support you today and the very next day decide to insult you. He gets a pass. But when Miles Sampa raises his voice and says, this is an injustice, the manner in which that the NPF are going about the selective process of the Secretary General is highly irregular. When Miles Sampa says that, Andrew Ejimadu wakes up and says, no, Miles Sampa is ungrateful. Miles Sampa is this. We chinangwa, iwe Andrew, we uri chinangwa elio kabidi uri chipuva. Now, you won't understand that because you're not Zambian. You're not. You see, do you see how this goes? In the same way, if you were to say something in that Nigerian language, what is it? Ibu, Obo. Ibu, Obo. If you were to say something in Ibu or Obo, I wouldn't understand you. You know why? Because I'm not a Zambian, mate. I mean, I'm not a Nigerian. In the same vein, by the same token, Iwe Andrew Ejimadu Urichipuva Elio Kabidiru Chiwere. But you won't understand that because you're not Zambian, are you? You know what that means? It means you don't have the right to stick your nose in our affairs. Do you understand that? That's why I can say that for you to understand what I've said. For you to ascertain the words that are coming out of my mouth. Wait. For you to grasp the concept of what is coming out of the recesses of my heart. You'd have to be a Zambian, but you're not. That's why vyakupita. It's passed you by. You know why? Because you're not a Zambian. So stick your nose into your business as a Nigerian and leave Zambian geopolitics to us. We are well able to take care of it. There are so many opposition leaders in this country who can provide checks and balances. We don't need some false prophet from Nigeria stepping into our territory, trying to dictate to us how we should run our affairs. No, sir. Step aside, Andrew. There's a new sheriff in town, and guess what? You're not him. All right. Thought I'd share that with you. Get that off my chest. Which boy, Andrew. Okay. All right, here it is. Let's get into this. Guys, a few days ago, we heard that former President Lungu was trying to fly out of the country. And we didn't know about this until he was flagged. Do you know what it means to flag? Somebody said, wait, whoa. Where are you going? Well, according to Makebi Zulu, who is former President Lungu's lawyer, and let's keep in mind, anytime Makebi Zulu shows up, that you hear the sound of a cha-ching. Do you know what that means? Cha-ching. Cha-ching is the sound of a cash register. Okay? In America, when you hear someone say cha-ching, it means impia shafuma. Zangena. In Zambia, we say zangena. In America, they say cha-ching. So when Makebi Zulu, anytime you hear or see or sniff, anytime you get a whiff of Makebi Zulu, wishibefiati cha-ching. Impia shashani shangira. Makebi Zulu kuti no, in my client was on his way to South Korea. President Lungu was invited to attend a peace summit in South Korea, says Makebi Zulu. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, guys, and I'm going to show you something that is really, really important. Guys, anytime global affairs are mentioned, you can Google that. You can use ChatGPT. You can use AI. You can use any type of search engine and you'll get the answers. Just because somebody says to you, no, in India, ku summit, ku South Korea, don't take their word for it. Not in this dispensation. You know, I mean, because the world has a bunch of liars. You know, so whenever you hear a guy in a suit like Makebi Zulu say things like, no, my client is going to South Korea. Now, remember, there's a difference between South Korea and North Korea. South Korea is where they make Samsung. North Korea is where they have that despot in the name of Kim Jong-un, who presides over a brainwashed people over generations. To the same people, different countries. You know, there is a militarized zone that separates the two countries, okay? So let's understand the topography of South and North Korea. South Korea, down there, is where they make Samsung, these phones, okay? North Korea is where Kim Jong-un comes from, okay? So Makebi Zulu says, no, you know, my client was going to South Korea for a peace summit. So guess what I did? I asked ChatGPT, when is the next peace summit going to be held in South Korea in 2023? Guess what ChatGPT told me? The peace summit in South Korea was held on the 3rd of May, 2023. We are in September. So if the South Korean summit, peace summit, now this should not be confused with other events in the calendar of the month of September. There are many different events in South Korea that go on. There are peace walks. There's so many different events. But as far as the peace summit, which is very distinct, very unique, that was last held on May the 3rd, 2023. So my question then is, if indeed the last peace summit was held May of 2023, and if you look at the calendar, September, there is no peace summit post May 2023. There is in the month of September. There is no peace summit. There are other events, but not the peace summit. So my question then is, was Makebi Zulu lying? Was he just creating something out of nothing? Was he just, did he sort of say to himself, after all, these Zambians, at peace summit, which Zambian is going to go and investigate to find out whether Chine could peace summit to South Korea? I mean, Zambians, we just take people's words for, you just hear. Just listen, just because somebody says something, it doesn't mean it's true. There's a word for you right there. Okay, I need that to sizzle in your spirit. I need that to marinate in your heart. I need it to sort of take root in your cerebellum. Just because somebody says something, it doesn't mean it's true. So as far as I know, okay, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you're at liberty to do that. But as far as I'm concerned, I've done my due diligence. You can do yours. You come up with your own version of the truth, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, the last peace summit was on May the 3rd, 2023. So, Makebi Zulu, what the hell are you talking about? Peace summit. Then there was this other talk. They were saying, no, President Lungu is going for medicals. All right, so which is it? Is he going for medicals? Is he going for a peace summit? If you're going to be a former head of state who is a person of interest and you are actively involved in politics, you are a person of interest. So don't moan, whinge, and complain when the authorities take a closer look at you. If you don't follow procedure, guess what? They're going to flag you. And then you are going to translate that and say, no, this is political persecution. It's not political persecution. It's called due diligence. It's called doing the right thing. If you're going to mislead the public, don't mislead the public as on issues to do with global events, because we're going to cross-check them. We're going to cross-check them. We're going to cross-check everything you say. If you say that former President Lungu is going to go visit a niece in America, I have no way of verifying that. But when you stand up in front of a microphone and you say, no, former President Lungu is going to a peace summit in South Korea, and here it is, it's in September, but the last peace summit was held on May the 3rd, 2023. What, you don't think that that's going to raise eyebrows? Do you not think that that's going to raise questions? All right, I've said enough. I'm just saying, it raises questions. That's all I'm saying. PF seems to be a security risk now. No, Mr. Muera, the Peace Summit is taking place in September, and I'm part of the summit, sir. Where? Show me, because I've searched this. I can't find it. I would be very happy to see you prove to me that there is a Peace Summit this September, because I've checked the calendar. The last Peace Summit was on May the 3rd, 2023. Show me here, because I've taken quite a bit of time to research this. I will be happy if you sort of prove me wrong. But as things stand right now, as far as I can tell, May the 3rd was the last Peace Summit in South Korea. Don't confuse this event with other events on the South Korean calendar in September. There are many, many other events. But as far as the Peace Summit, last I saw is May the 3rd. But again, I would love for you to prove me wrong. I would love for you to prove me wrong, but I'm not seeing it. And you know what they say? If it's not gelling, then it's not jello. It raises questions. So which is it? Was he going to have a medical, or was he going for a peace summit, which doesn't exist in September? Explain that to me. All righty. And guys, if you've got anything, show it. Please post it on here. I'll post it, and then I'll take your word for it. But my point is, when these lawyers, when these politicians tell you something, don't take their words for it. Don't take their word for it. Rather, I'll say it right in a moment. Do not take their word for it. Fact check, cross check, challenge them. Because they could just be lying. The world's full of liars. Okay, isn't that the truth? All right. Even if he was attending a peace summit, he's meaning HE''S. He's supposed to notify cabinet office. If those are the rules, He should follow those rules. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again. Bye.